guys, and welcome to another episode of Renaissance Man, where Robbie and me takes you through culture. Today is our final episode. Unfortunately, just things aren't working out the way I want them to. I gotta move, just getting married, can't do this any longer. So, we'll have to find someone else to take over my reins. Hopefully we will. But today, we're going to talk about Star Wars, the greatest sci-fi trilogy of all time. Okay? And unfortunately, we're going to talk about the second trilogy, the one that is one of the worst trilogies of all time. Okay? And today, I'm going to fix Star Wars. Alright? I'm going to fix this prequel. I've got a list of things that we're going to go through each film one film at a time, and I'm going to try to give you the way this film could have been great. Not mediocrely good, great. Alright? So, first, let's talk about Anakin. We're going to fix Anakin. Let's remove him out. Let's remove the little kid who's a cute little bowl-cutted blonde. Let's take him out and let's make him a teenager. Let's get an actor to be the same Anakin for all three films, okay? Because it makes it more realistic and it makes Natalie Portman not look like a pedophile, alright? So, we need to find a new actor. No Hayden Christensen, he was awful at it. Anakin Skywalker was not what I like to see in Star Wars, okay? I want to see someone who can actually act. Now, I can't really tell you who I would pick to be Anakin. I did some research and I found out there were three actors who probably are decent, or better than Hayden Christensen, that could have played the role. We've got Chris Evans, okay, who was born the same year as Hayden Christensen. We've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and we have Elijah Wood. All three have better acting abilities than Hayden Christensen. Not saying that they necessarily fit in the Star Wars universe, but we actually might have found out Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a better actor than we did in 2008. And, we find out a lot sooner, instead of waiting 10 years before we find out he's a fantastic actor. Then, we're going to move on, and we're going to say, we're also going to say that Anakin is already mad in the first film, okay? He's a slave, he's a genius, and he's captive. We're not going to make this some, Mickey Mouse sing-along to go into work every day like he was acting like. No, he should be mad, he should be pissed, he should be angry all the time because he's living in slavery and he can't do anything about it, even though he's a genius, okay? And he can levitate things and fight with lightsabers, which we'll get to that later. But he needs to be angry, so that means that later on in the third film, whenever he turns to the dark side, it's a more believable transition, okay? Also, we need to get rid of Jar Jar Binks. Scratch him. He is the worst character George Lucas has ever created, besides maybe the Ewoks. But Jar Jar Binks is annoying, he's not relevant, and unfortunately George Lucas tries to make him relevant in the second film by giving him some power, a choice that ends up making the Emperor, which we'll get to that too in a minute. But we need to scratch him, and scratch the Gungans. Not so much as not mention them. We can mention them and say how they're still like the dwarves, and they like to live underground. They like to live in their water world and stay away from people. They don't like to help. We can keep that, but we just don't need the whole underground scene. We don't need to waste time there. So, getting rid of them, say, okay, well, who are the droids going to fight? Thank you for asking. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Naboo army, and we're going to mix them with the Jedi. Okay, we're going to have about, 7 or 8 Jedi, if not more, show up and fight with the Naboo army against the droids. Okay, it's a more epic battle. It's less campy and cheesy, and we get to see more Force powers. So that would be freaking awesome, right? Okay, thank you. I'm glad you agree. All right, then we're going to move on. We're going to go to Darth Maul. Darth Maul does not die in this film. Okay? And I know that the Clone Wars has brought him back and stuff like that, but he does not die in this film. Okay? Yes, he kills Qui-Gon Jinn, but after he gets his butt kicked with Obi-Wan after killing Qui-Gon, we can say that while this battle's going on, there's some huge explosion that just separates the two, and they can't get to the other one, so Darth Maul gets away. Okay? Darth Maul comes into later play in the next film, which we'll go ahead and tell you he stays the apprentice of Darth Sidious. Okay. Then, we're going to say Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is also kind of bitter, okay? Obi-Wan is mad. He's mad for two reasons. One, he didn't agree with Anakin being adopted into the Jedi Order in the first place. He was against it the entire film, and I want to keep that. we keep that, and Obi-Wan becomes bitter because all of a sudden now Anakin is put in his lap and he has to train him. Okay? And he does it in respect of Qui-Gon. He doesn't do it because he agrees. He does it in respect. Okay? And so this can add to the tension between the two. And it makes it more of a brotherly relationship. Yes, I agree. In the third one, it was epic when they fight. But if we start the trouble or bitterness here, it makes it more believable later. Okay. Also, we're going to say that Obi-Wan is mad because he didn't get to avenge Qui-Gon's death, and which makes it all the better when they face Darth Maul later. Okay. And the last thing I want to do in this film is let's make the love story start here, okay? Let's make, like I said, Anakin 14 or 15. Let's make Queen Amidala, let's make her like 16 or 17. Let there be a 2 or 3 year age gap. That's fine, but let's make them older and more believable. Because just like because the Jedi Order in the first film says that Anakin's too old, but then we see younglings, the young Jedi kids who look just the same age as him, and like there's not that big of an age difference, but yet the Jedi make it seem like there is, and I didn't buy that. And so if you make him a teenager, you can believe that this is way too old, and it's more believable too because Luke Skywalker was a teenager whenever he started his training as a Jedi. See, it transitions better. Okay, it forms more chemistry, and I think that's something we really need in these trilogy. We didn't have a lot of chemistry between the actors, between the story, and the story progressing to the next three. Then we're going to go to the second film. Okay, going on to the next two films. If we fix a lot of these things in the first film, the second and third film kind of fix themselves. But I do have a couple specifics that I'd like to fix. No Count Dooku. Okay, Count Dooku was pointless. Okay, Count Dooku was awful. All right, I did not like him. I didn't like his character. It was again cheesy and campy. George Lucas, what he does best. All right, I didn't like it. So Darth Maul stays the apprentice of the Emperor. Okay, and that lets him become a more diabolical vessel later in this movie, because we keep him there, but also we give the Jedi, let's make them discerning like they're supposed to be, and they can actually tell that something's going on with the Emperor, that there's something not right with him. Because I have a problem believing that this dark power, this Sith power that's been gone for so long, all of a sudden shows back up, and they can't tell who it is. I mean, that thing would be like a metal detector on a metal rod. I mean, it should be easy to find, but it wasn't, and I didn't agree with that. So let's do this. Let's make the Jedi Order actually be able to tell that something's going on with him, okay, that he's probably actually bad, but they have no political power. The Jedi Council is just wisdom and advice, so they have no political power. So what they do is they go to Padme, and they say, Padme, we want you to not vote for him to get this emergency power, okay? This is what we think. This is what you should do. She agrees. She makes it known to the Emperor that she's not going to vote for this. So what does that do? That gets him to go to Darth Maul and say, Darth Maul, kidnap her and get her away from here, so she's not there to vote. Okay, so it makes it more plausible that instead of Jar Jar Binks being the one to vote in her place, no one's there. So because she's not there to vote, it gets given to him anyway because there's no one to object it. Okay, because as we saw in the second film, Queen Amidala has a great amount of power in the second film, or that's what we're led to believe. So if she's out of there and she doesn't have her power, and she can't use her power of persuasion with the political figures, then he becomes the Emperor, okay? And then all hell breaks loose anyway. So we keep that. But Darth Maul can kidnap Padme whenever when Anakin goes and he's like protecting her and stuff. When he leaves to go, and they go off and he separates from Padme for a little bit to go kill the Sand People that killed his mother. Whenever he comes back, which, by the way, when that happens, that will be the spiraling downhill, okay? And because the anger that we see in the first film, it's believable that is a downhill spiral, okay? It just starts sending him to the dark side. He kills the Sand People. He comes back. As he's leaving, he sees Darth Maul kidnapping Padme, okay? Leaving with her on a ship, and it's not or a speeder or something like that, and Darth Maul can somehow, some way cause an explosion which destroys Anakin's ship at the time, so he can't come after them. Something like that, but he gets away. Not flies off planet, but just gets away. Then we can say, and then we cut back to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is off looking at the clones, and he sees that they're being made, and then he has a fight with Jango Fett, and he gets kidnapped, blah, blah, blah. And so he gets taken to the Colosseum, just like, so this can all gel together, where Darth Maul takes Padme to the Colosseum too, Jango takes Obi-Wan to the Colosseum, and Anakin shows up, because Anakin sees that his ship is there, or that Obi-Wan is there by the Force, or whatever have you. You can come up with some device that gets him there. You can use R2-D2 and C-3PO, it doesn't matter. But they all come together there, and there's still that fight. There's still that epic fight where Yoda shows up with the clones and blah, 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 and Darth Maul is the villain that they fight at the end of it. Not Dooku, okay? Oh, so awful. And, and still have the epic battle where Darth Maul pulls out the dual lightsaber again, which was so awesome. Probably one of the coolest moments in Star Wars history is when he pulls out the dual-lighted lightsaber, because you had never seen that before live action. Yeah, you had seen that in Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, but you didn't know that you could actually do that. I mean, you didn't know that it was actually going to happen, so it was sweet seeing. Anyway, so they fight again. He cuts off Anakin's hand. He still gets away. He still gets away one last time. But it's still an epic fight because he fights Yoda. Yoda beats him, but he runs away like he always does. Okay, and that's how the second film ends. Okay, and so that again leads into the third film. Okay, it ends just like the second film does. We don't have to change some huge things. And if these two films are changed the way I just said, then that leads into 3, which could be so epic, okay? Because 3, we still the same thing. Darth Maul is the one that kidnaps the Emperor, and yes, even though the Jedi saw discernment, it's still believable that these political figures don't believe it, and so whenever he's kidnapped by Darth Maul to try to get the Jedi off his trail, that the politicians are like, go after him, you need to save him, blah, 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 and so and that discussion needs to happen. The Jedi are like, well, he's the dark side anyway, it doesn't matter. And they're like, really? Then why would he be kidnapped by Darth Maul? That makes no sense. Okay? And we talk like this in retrospect. We already know that he's the Emperor. We know this. But as a person who's never... If a person who's never seen the original films, and just go into this, they don't know that. So they can go into it saying, well, yeah, go after him. He's not the bad guy. Y'all are just trying to throw us off. So when Darth Maul gets away with the Emperor, and he's got him kidnapped and strapped to the chair, and the fight happens just like it's supposed to. But see, here's another thing. If we add the bitterness of Obi-Wan feeling the guilt of not being able to kill Darth Maul, that adds to it even more at the beginning of the movie. Because Darth Maul and Obi-Wan fight, and Darth Maul gets a cheap shot on Obi-Wan, and he kills him. Okay? I mean, I'm sorry, and he doesn't kill me. He knocks out Obi-Wan. Okay? Obi-Wan can't fight because he's knocked out. He's knocked out cold, and so that leaves him and Anakin. And Anakin, of course, has developed his powers even better, and he's stronger than he's ever been. And he has no problem with Darth Maul then, because he's a much better fighter, and as he was before in the second film. Okay, so then we have just what happened. We have what happened in the other movie. Okay, we have the Emperor talk him into killing Darth Maul. Okay, he kills Darth Maul as Obi-Wan's waking up. Obi-Wan sees him kill him. Okay. Obi-Wan's pissed. Obi-Wan's pissed because of just numerous reasons. Because he killed someone he shouldn't have because we needed information. He killed him because of that bitterness of him wanting to avenge Qui-Gon's death. Okay? And it's also where you can that film just is nothing but Anakin being dark side. Okay? And it's also where you start to see a lot of tension. This tension has built up for 2 movies, even though they're brothers and they fight together and they love each other, but you just start to see the tension from the moment, the beginning of the third movie. That makes that fight all the more powerful at the end of the movie, okay? So, we do that, and then for the rest of the movie, let's keep the rest of the movie the same. But until the what's it called? The thing that turns the clones into start attacking the Jedi.
Order 66.
Order 66. Thank you, Blair. Order 66. Okay, Order 66 is called out, and that's fine. The drones or clones can turn on the Jedi, but can we please make the Jedi have more of an epic fight back? Okay, because I just didn't buy this. That they showed a whole montage of each Jedi, like of the major council members being taken out by these drones of these clones, but like they're Jedi. Okay? They should have been able to feel that this was about to happen, and they should be able to fight more off. I just didn't buy it. It should have been more epic. Okay? This is the entire Jedi Order being wiped out. Okay? Down to 2 Jedi. Obi-Wan and Yoda. That's all that's left after this. And I should have believed it to be more epic. And I just didn't. Okay, we fixed that. And it just makes it more epic. And also, the fight with Mace Windu, it can still happen, okay? Mace Windu can easily have him taken down, have the Emperor on his knees, and Anakin still kills Mace Windu, okay? That can still happen. All this can still happen, but it makes the chemistry better. It makes the flow of the story better, and the character progression. It makes it better, okay? We believe it. And so then at the end, when Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, you don't want them to fight. Like, I mean, yeah, it's awesome, but almost down deep in the soul of you, you don't want them to, because these are 2 people who should be fighting for good and should be fighting together, and they're not, because one is full of anger and one was too, and that's what leads Obi-Wan to not want to train Luke even more, because Obi-Wan wasn't the leader he should have been, because he was full of bitterness himself, because he was full of anger, because he never truly accepted Anakin as his Padawan, okay? And that's what and that lets him just live in remorse, and that just it just transitions better. So, guys, that's my diatribe. That's how I feel like we can fix Star Wars. Okay, yeah, it's a long list, but it's only a long list for the first 2 films. Okay, if we fix those 2 things, the third one can be even more epic, and I can say, hey, I own the greatest saga ever made, instead of I own the original Star Wars and I own the crappy second trilogy that I don't really care for. Okay, so guys, that's it. This is my last video. But guys, go out, be great, and hopefully maybe one day I'll see you again.